Okay, so basically, let me just take that off. Where did I now? Okay, cool. I don't want to be transcribed the whole time. Okay, cool. So basically, looking at study unit 11, the last study unit, and we basically going to look at regression and simple regression. What I'll also show you in today's session, there's not a lot of examples, but I want to show you how I use Excel as well, because most of the work in study unit 11, you all need to use a calculator, or you can use Excel or any other program that can do it for you. So I'll share the spreadsheets again so that you can basically use that for the exam as well. So when we go into study unit 11, and I think nearly if you look at all the other work we've done, we haven't really focused on anything around regression. So it was much more about other models that we use, and then suddenly we get into regression. So it is a bit different from all the other study units. So when we get to regression, they can basically, I think what is important here is, and we'll get to one or two of those examples as well, is that nearly the first slide talks on things that they can ask you in a theoretical question. But I'll show one or two of the theoretical questions as well. In this study unit, they actually like to ask some of the theoretical questions, and sometimes you'll see that they talk about when something is the independent or dependent variable, and the other thing that they also like to ask is between the R square and the R. So basically looking at your correlation and your determination. So that's normally, if they're going to ask around theoretical, that is what they would focus on. What I've included in here as well, but I will also, as we start doing our revision work, add all of these to one or two of the sheets that I've created for the formulas, because it can be, and you will see that in your last assignment as well, that they always give you the data, but it can be that they give you some of this information, and then you need to create the data, or not the data, but get to the answers. So it can be that they don't give you the raw data, and you will need to work with a formula. And I think that is important. Look out for that in your last assignment as well, because the things that are in the assignment are normally the things that will be in your exam as well. So, and what I've done in the Excel is I have programmed some of these. If you get the data, what I will do for you as well is, on certain of these things, if you, and I know you're not allowed to take photos of your assignments as you go through it, but if you can take one or two and send it to me, that I can use that as a way to assist you with setting up the Excel spreadsheet that you guys can use, that it will be great, specifically for study unit 11, just to see if they also give you these variables, and when we can program it in Excel. Okay, so the other thing that I think is also very important for you guys is when we talk about correlation, but they can sometimes ask you, if you get this correlation, what does it mean? So just important in that sense as well. And again, nearly like we had the correlation coefficient that they showed here, it can also be written in a different way as well. So this is obviously a coefficient of determination, but if we square root that, we get R. So just if you need to use these, or they give you these formulas as well, that we know how to get to that. Okay, so let's go into the first question, and I'll basically look at this using Excel, because all of these functions are in Excel. So let me just bring this closer, and I'll make it bigger for you now as well. So we know that that is your X variable, that is your Y variable. So I basically input that into Excel. You will be able to do that on a calculator as well, if a calculator has that ability to read into variables, and dependent on which calculator you have, it depends how you put in the data. So my calculator, I must put in the first X and then the first Y. Then I go into the second X and the second Y, and it continues like that up until I've put in all 6 of both data points. Some other calculators work that you first put in all your X's, and then you put in all your Y values. But for me, I like to work with Excel, because that is just for me much easier. So what I've done is I said, okay, we need to look for what's the slope, we need to look for intercept, and I'll just add the R and R square, even though it's not in this question, but if you then need it for other questions as well. So what I then basically want to do is, so let's just want to see if I can move it, since it is now my second screen. It doesn't want to. Okay, so let's first. Okay, so for the slope function, there is actually a slope function. Let's just do it again. Okay, so for the slope function, they want us to import the x's and the y's. So first, they want us to import the y's, and then they want the x's. And that's it. So we know then with a slope function that the slope is 1,318. So just if we look at one comma 318, 1.318, so let's just make that 2 decimals. So the slope is always with the x. So we know it's 1.32. So we actually now know already that option 1 is the correct one. But let's complete the rest of the. So for intercept, basically again they ask us the same, but we need to look at the Excellent. We need to look at. So again, I'll definitely share this with you on the WhatsApp group and in Teams as well, and on my Unisa as well. And yeah, so let's quickly. So the intercept is 35.81. So we can also again say, okay, 35.8. Okay, so basically what we have now calculated is that first line where we know that the intercept is 35.8 and that your slope is 1.32x. Okay, I just want to add a correlation to that. So if we needed to have a correlation, okay, so a correlation would have been 0.48 or 49 probably if I round it off, and I automatically made that the square root of a correlation so that we can get the determination as well. So we've basically got for R and for R squared. This is interesting. That is wrong. Should be the square root. No, it is right. I'm just worried that that sees it as multi. Let's just test it. Okay, cool. Okay, so basically we have the slope, we have the intercept, we have R and R squared. Okay, so again, I will share that with you. So that for me is the easiest nearly to work this out. Else you could have gone with your calculator to say 23 input, the 96 input. So you could have gone that route as well. Okay, so I think the next one is more about the correlation coefficient. So let's quickly read what they ask us, and then we see if we can determine what the correct answer will be. So consider a data set containing number of pages in books on a professor's shelf. The correlation coefficient R was calculated as that. Which one of the following statements is incorrect? Okay, so now we're looking for the incorrect one. Okay, so when we see 0.474, nearly the things that we know about that is that is a positive correlation. So let's say it's a positive correlation. What else do we know about it? If we add a diagram like that, it will move like that. So that is how it would look like. So let's just look at the options that they give us. Number of pages and price are directly related. So what would you guys have said? So is the two related? Yes, it is, because there is a correlation. If the answer was 0, then we would have said, okay, but it's not related. But because there is at least more than 0 or less than 0, we know that it is directly related, so that is correct. A scatter diagram of a data will show an upward slope. So like I tried to show there, so what will happen is this data will look something like that. And if you draw the regression line, it will move through that data and it will slope upwards. Okay. The other thing that, so let's look at the next one. The more pages a book has, the higher the price. So if that was price and if this was pages, it can be the other way around as well. So the lower the price, the lower the pages. As price goes up, pages goes up. Or it can be the other way around as well, that the more pages there are in the book, the higher the price. Okay, so the more pages in a book, the higher the price. But it could have been the other way around as well, to say the higher the price, the more pages. It doesn't matter in this instance which one is causing the other one. The coefficient of determination. Okay, the coefficient of determination is R squared. So R squared will always be bigger or equal to 0, but less or equal to 1. So if that is my line, it will be from 0 to 1, but it's always positive. Okay, so it can't be negative, because even if you have a R that is negative, a negative times a negative will give you a positive. So the coefficient of determination basically lies between 0 and positive 1. Okay, and not 0 and or minus 1 and positive 1. It is between 0 and positive 1. Okay, so that would have been the incorrect one. Let's just look at the fifth option as well. If there is absolutely no relationship between pages and price, R will be 0. Okay, and that is what I said earlier in this. When R is 0, there is no relationship. Okay, so that one is also correct. Okay. I don't know if you guys have started with assignment 5 yet. So on a scale, does this make sense what we are going through at the moment? Is it totally new that you haven't done the unit yet, and this is nearly going to assist you doing the assignment? Just want to get a bit of a check-in. You guys are very quiet today. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so in the next one, they talk about if all the points in a scatter diagram lie on the regression line, then the correlation coefficient is. If all the points in a scatter diagram, okay, so that is your line. So if all the points lie on that line, what would that correlation coefficient be? That is quite interesting. What would you guys have said will that be? Oh, and I don't, and I now made the assumption that it should, they don't tell us. Okay. So it can also be that one. Okay, so if all the points are on the line, you've got a perfect correlation. And then that perfect correlation is either 1, where the slope is positive, or -1, where the slope is negative. So must be 1, yes, but it must also be -1. It must be either positive or negative. Okay, and I think that is nearly where I wanted first to say, but that would have been 1 and I would have gone for that one, but forgetting that there is another one. If you so if you have no correlation, you will have a line that actually does a straight line like that. So your points are everywhere scattered around that nearly, and then you have a straight line with a coefficient of 0. Okay, so that is nearly the three options that you get. This is in your textbook on page 369 as well, if you nearly want to look at that in your textbook on page 369. I can also, if you guys don't have a textbook, just let me know if I need to take a pic or two of some of the diagrams. Okay, so then nearly I want to show you another example. Again, I want to use the Excel, so I want basically to look at the spreadsheet and we use that. So I'm just creating a copy of a previous one. I think that is nearly how you can also do that in the exam, or as you now prepare for study unit, the assignment 5. Okay, so I just want to see why I can't move this. Okay. So let me put in the data. So it is 4, 6, 8, 9, 12. Let's take that one out. 12, 16, 25, 30, and 39. And take that one out. Okay, so now you can see which one of the following statements is correct. Okay, and look at those two, how easy it is to make the mistake, because you basically have them, your slope and your intercept. So if that was, oh, thank goodness, it would have been, but still, you can easily make the mistake by looking at that and say, oh, there's my intercept, 3.54, there's my slope, just because you turned the two numbers around. Okay, so slope is 3.54 and your intercept is 3.2. Okay, so that is where we have the difference. So let's I just want to see if I do that, if it makes any difference. It's not supposed to. Okay, so just going to undo so that you can use it for other data if you want to add more. Okay, so this one is wrong because it is the intercept that is minus 3.21 and this one is wrong because, again, it is turned upside down. So the intercept is minus 3.21 and your slope is 3.54. So that one is correct. But let's look at the others. So I actually calculated the other ones as well. So let's just see. What is, okay, so correlation is 0.99, so that is correct. But coefficient of determination must be 0.98 and not 0.995. So again, in the exam, if you work out the one is quickly then to nearly say it is correct, but the coefficient of determination was wrong. So that one was wrong and that one was correct. So what we can also now do, and let's just basically add that in here, is by telling us if we have then x, what will that value be? And they tell us if I put x into this equation, the value that I should get is 35.4. Is that correct or not? So basically what I'm going to do is to say, so if x is equal to 10, and let's see what our answer will be. So if x is equal to 10, we know that that is the intercept. We need to say the slope times what the x will be. I'm just going to put it now there. I will put in the x now. Okay, so that was the 10. So let's just quickly check. Got the intercept plus okay, the slope times 10. So when we do that, my x at 10, the y should have been 35.4. It is only 32 point, probably 0.2. So definitely one can see that this one is also incorrect. And what is now nice with this formula is that you can basically, if they said it's 8, you can automatically then see that your answer will change. So again, I think this is a nice spreadsheet that you can use for your assignments, but also for your exam as well. I was wondering if we should not also quickly check when we have this information, how do we calculate the slope and all of that, so that we just have all of that in one. So let's quickly see which one we can use. So the formulas are B0. Okay, I've got the X and Y. Need to check if we've got the X and Y. We've got that, we've got that. Okay, so let's let me quickly check if I can. Then we see what we are able to do. Because that can also be, I'm just worried that in the exam or in your assignment, you don't get the data and only the formulas. Okay, so if we had the same question, they didn't give us the data, they only gave us this part of the information. So let's see what we need to do. So if we want to work out B0, we basically need to say B0 is the average or mean of y. So that is the sum of y, which is 122, divided by n, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because there's 5 y, so let's then see. So that is and that is x, so that is the sum of x, which they do give us. Sum of x is 39, 39 divided by 5. Okay, so still now we still need to work out what is B1. So let's see if we can work out B1, and then whatever B1 is, we put it back into that equation. So let's see, we've got n, which is 5. The sum of x and y, do we have that? The sum of x and y, we've got that. 1082 minus the sum of x times the sum of y. See, so this is again, I think, in the exam, this will also take you a lot of time. So what I will definitely see if I can just build this in for you in that Excel spreadsheet, just to make your life easier. So 5, the sum of x squared, there it is. So I give you all the information to do this, but it is, let's be honest, it is a lot of time that you need to. Okay, so that will give you your B. So let's see what is B1. So 5 times 1082, 5410. 39 times 122, 4758. So again, we are doing now everything, but with what we're doing now, we basically only look at those 3 options. We haven't even looked at this formula, which is that we also then need to do. So again, if it is in the exam, I would always go first using the data and not try to use any of the formulas. But if they only give you the formulas, I will try and build this also for you in Excel, because otherwise it will just take you forever, because you can already see we're taking quite some time and we're only working out B1. And then I'm hoping I don't make a mistake somewhere. 652 divided by 184 It does give me 3,54. Okay, so B1 is 3,54, and then if I put that back into that formula, let's see what I do get for B0. So 3.54 times 39 divided by 5. B0, just take it from there. Minus 27.64. That is now what I've calculated there. 122 divided by 5 is 24.4. So 24.4 minus 27.64 gives me minus 3.24. Okay, so with a bit of rounding off, but that gives me that one. So now we actually have only done that part of the question. Luckily, option 3 was the one that we were looking for, but we still haven't even looked at the R. So again, nearly we must try to avoid using this formula. So with working out R, we will basically do the same. We have worked out B0 now. We know what the sum of xi is. We've worked out B1. They do give us the sum of xy. Yes, they do give us the sum of xy. And we have that. So then we can work out that one. Again, they give us that information. So we will be able to work out the SST, and then to get to your R square and your R, you need to do that. But it will take nearly the same time that we've done here to do that. So I would rather, I'm going to put this for you in Excel, and then just build that into this question, that we can get the same answers, and then we can just line it up next to here. That so I'll do that for you. Okay. So the thing for me, so this is nearly all that they can ask you in study unit 11. So it is, but the critical one is, if they give you the data, use it all with your calculator or in Excel, because that is the easiest way of doing it. Otherwise, it is really long if we go this whole process with the formulas. Okay, so it will be interesting to see how they actually ask it in your study unit or in assignment 5. If they ask it more to this level, or if I give you the data and you need to work it out. What I think is also important is that there can be questions around, they give you the data, they give you the regression line, they ask you to put in certain values. That can be a question that they can ask you. They've now done it within this question, but it can be a standalone question as well. The work out the coefficient correlation can also be a standalone question. It doesn't need to be included in a question like this. It can be a standalone question as well. What they can also do is, where was that one? They can give you this. They can then have, where we had the R, with that, they can basically have in one of the answers that you need to calculate what R square is. They can do it that it is negative 0.474, and then give you a R square that is one that's positive and one that's negative, and you need to basically decide which one is correct. Remember, just because it's to the power of 2, that negative will always change into a positive. So your R square can only be positive, like we said there. So that is nearly the things that I can ask you in the study unit. I haven't seen in previous papers that they will give you any diagrams to say how it looks like, but it might be, but I haven't seen something like that they will ask you. So it's more around the data. Okay, is there questions around this study unit from you guys? Anything that's a bit unclear, anything that not happy with?
I joined late, so I'm so confused here. I'll just wait for you to post the video again.
Okay. Okay, no, that is that's also fine, and I think that is nearly. I started off with a lot of nearly saying what can be done and can't be done and how to use it. So yes, please, I'll post it this evening still, and then if you just start from the beginning, yeah, no, if you join late, it's going to be very confusing. But don't worry, I'll post it still this evening, that you can just start from the beginning.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Any other guys? What I assume you still need to do study or assignment 5. That this is nearly gonna just assist you with that. Okay, guys. Then I'm gonna communicate it also on WhatsApp, but from next week, unless we need to just look at study unit 10 and 11 again for your preparation for your assignment, or if you want to start preparing for the exam. It sounds weird. We don't even know what. Well, we've got a preliminary date of 15 October now, so we'll see if that stays. But then we start preparing for the exams with previous exam papers and all of those things. I'll pull in some of the assignments that you have done as well, and previous assignments for this study unit, so, or for this course. So I'll do that, and we just prepare for your exams. Okay, but if we need to do another session on study unit 10 and 11 for preparation for your assignments, we'll do that as well. Okay, so this was a shorter one, but it's basically we've covered most of the things that can be asked in your assignments and in the exam. Okay, anything else from anyone? Else I see you again next week.
Thanks. You have a good day.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening. I'll try and share the link now in the next half hour or so. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Cheers.
Thanks, Shane.